Hey guys, welcome to the channel and to part 5 of my F1 fantasy season. We just had Imola yesterday. Good race. Personally I enjoyed it, although I was a little gutted on a couple of fronts which I'll get to in a minute, but otherwise I enjoyed it. Obviously we've got Miami coming up in 2 weeks. Just quickly, I'm moving this weekend, so I was hoping to do Motorsport Manager Miami Grand Prix for next week, but I'm not going to be able to because I need to finish packing up this weekend. And so I will be back in 2 weeks with my Spanish fantasy team after the Miami Grand Prix, but I just wanted to get that out of the way. Talking of Motorsport Manager, you can check out my Imola Grand Prix on Motorsport Manager with McLaren, which we did last week, by clicking on the card in the top right corner. Now that's out of the way, excuse me, let's get into the F1 fantasy team results and team for Miami. So as usual, I'm on Fantasy Tracker. I'm going to start with this, go onto my team, and then we'll come back to this. But you can see here, say I'm not sponsored by Fantasy Tracker or anything like that. It's just a site that I found when I started this, and I really like it. I find it very useful, and there is a link down in the description below if you want to check it out. There is also a link to the prices guide, although this is from last year, but the same rules pretty much apply, which will give you an insight on how the Fantasy Tracker works. So for Imola, top three was obviously Verstappen, Perez and Lando. So Max got 62 points, Perez got 44 and Lando got 43. The bottom scorers were poor Mick Schumacher, -3, Fernando Alonso 2, Lewis Hamilton 5, Red Bull was the highest scoring team with 99 points, and Alpine was the lowest scoring team with -3. So, confession time. I got a few emails from F1 Fantasy just before qualifying, and I got kind of, shall we say, roped in because there was a paragraph that was basically saying something along the lines of, you know, there's a sprint race this weekend, so you could score quite a lot of points. And so I decided to play my Mega Driver card, and I gave it to Sainz. Now, it's not Sainz's fault what happened. Me personally, I think it was just one of those racing incidences. It was a bit of a double whammy for me, being a McLaren fan, because obviously it was Ricciardo that had hit him. But yeah, so I mistakenly played my Mega Driver card at the last minute, gave it to Sainz. If I'd given it to Perez, I would have got about 112 points if my maths is correct, but unfortunately I gave it to Sainz. He only scored 7 points, so I got 21, so maybe a little bit of damage limitation, maybe, but yeah, that was the first mistake. The second mistake was in my Imola fantasy team selection. I swapped out the AlphaTauris, Gasly and Sonoda, and I went for Ocon and in the end Magnussen. I couldn't afford Norris, which is why I went for Ocon, and it was between Magnussen and Bottas, and I went with Magnussen just because Bottas had that DNF in the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. In hindsight, mistake on both fronts really. Ocon only got 13 points, unfortunately he had that 5-second penalty. Magnussen, as well as he's doing, I know that Bottas scored 34 points this weekend because he's on my colleague's joint team that's on my account, so I've already seen it. So I need to shake things up a little bit. So with that said, let's just go through their scores. So obviously Sainz got 7 points, but I got 21 because he was my Mega Driver. So sprint 4th place +7, sprint positions gained +5, Q3 finish +3, qualifying 10th place +1, sprint classified +1, DNF -10 because of what happened on lap 1. Leclerc, I wanted to make, he's my turbo driver, but I wanted to make him my Mega Driver, but they have to be at the value of 18 million or less, and unfortunately he's just over 18 million now, so I couldn't use him as my Mega Driver. That said, he's still my turbo driver, which is why he's got 60 points, not 30. Qualifying second place +9, sprint second place +9, race sixth place +8, Q3 finish +3, race beat teammates, he beat Carlos obviously, +3, qualifying beat teammate +2, sprint beat teammate +2. So 60 points, my highest scorer for this weekend. Ocon, race positions gained +4, race beat teammate +3, sprint positions gained +3, Q1 finish +1, race classified +1, sprint classified +1. Perez 44, second place +18, sprint third place +8, qualifying seventh place +4, sprint positions gained +4, Q3 finish +3, sprint fastest lap +3, race positions gained +2, 44 points. If I'd played him as my mega driver, which did cross my mind, I would have got 112 points. So if you had Perez and you played him as your mega driver, congratulations, you just scored 112 points. And I'm jealous. K-Mag did actually score a little bit more than I thought he would, to be fair. Qualifying fourth place +7, Q3 finish +3, race beat teammate +3, sprint 8th place +3, qualifying beat teammate +2, race 9th place +2, sprint beat teammate +2, and then we go down to the constructor Ferrari, 30 points was what happened to Sainz, and again it's a breakdown of both Sainz and Leclerc. Now we are going into round 5, aren't we? So yeah, round 5, which means if I had done what I was going to do originally, which was hold out my mega driver, because Leclerc did still finish in the top 10, if he finishes in the top 10 at Miami, that puts him on a streak. So yeah, I should have saved this really until after Miami. Never mind. So that brings us to Miami. Now this is where we are going to go onto Fantasy Tracker in just a second. So I currently have 3.4 million spare. I need to shake things up a little bit. I'm definitely getting rid of Ocon and I am changing K-Mag. I think those are definites in my mind. I was debating whether to try and bring in Russell for Sainz, but I don't know if I'm going to have the cash. And I also don't know if I'm jumping the gun, because to be fair, what happened at Imola, in my opinion, was a racing incident. It wasn't necessarily Sainz's fault and it wasn't necessarily Daniel's fault, in my opinion. And so, actually you can see here there's some little flames that indicate streaks, which I didn't actually know till just now. So, okay, so Sainz has got an upcoming qualifying streak. Yeah, so that's what I meant by the race streak for Leclerc, and it looks like Perez has got a qualifying streak as well. Now, I didn't actually know that till just now, so I may keep Sainz, we'll see. So let's go to Fantasy Tracker. Now, I've got 2 tabs open this time. I've got the usual points per million. So if you're new to Fantasy Tracker, the way this works is this gives you their average points that they've scored against their value. Now, remember, it is subjective, because higher the value, then obviously, if they're not performing, like see here, Hamilton, 30.3 million, but he's only got 0.64, but that's because of his high value. Whereas if you go down to Kevin Magnussen, he's only at 6 million, but yeah, he's got 2.71 points per million because he's performing well. So you have to balance it out. That said, I've also got this tab, which is actually their overall scoring so far this season. So I'm going to use 2 tabs this time. Now that said, I have 3.4 million to spend as things stand. I'm getting rid of Ocon and I'm getting rid of Kevin Magnussen. To be fair, I think I'm going to be doing Kevin Magnussen as a straight swap for Bottas. But just in terms of value, so when I get rid of Ocon, I will get 12.6 at his current value. And he is currently at 1.47 points per million, or ppm. In terms of Magnussen, it's still at 6 million. I'm surprised that hasn't gone up, to be fair. And he's at 2.71 points per million. Now, if I marry these against a driver, so let's start with Magnussen, because I think I'm going to go for Bottas, to be completely honest. So let's write this down. I actually have 5 drivers in mind that I'm looking at. They're Russell, Bottas, Norris, Sonoda and Albon are the drivers I'm looking at. So Bottas is currently 9.4 million at 1.97 ppm. Then Albon is 7.1 million at 1.48 points per million. Because to be fair, even though Albon hasn't been coming in the top 10, if you look at where he's starting and where he's finishing, he's gaining positions, which is why he's doing so well on the fantasy team. He is different. He's pretty much underrated. Same with Stroll here. Stroll's actually surprised me because he's doing all right. He's getting pretty good scores. Sonoda, who we did have in the team up until last week, he actually had a good race, believe it or not. So 8.3, 0.99 though on the ppm. Norris, where's Norris? Norris is one of the drivers we started the season with. McLaren back on the up, which as a fan I'm super happy about. And he got the podium, so that's awesome. 15.9 million at 1.42 ppm. And Russell was my last choice, although I think I'm going to be priced out when it comes to Russell. In fact, I'm 99% sure I'm going to be priced out. And he's at 1.25 ppm. Now let's have a look at their total scores then. So we'll start with Russell. So he's on 120. Alonso is only on 3, which kind of says everything at the moment with the Alpines. Oh no, sorry, that's Alonso, not Ocon. Sonoda, right? Sonoda is 33. There's Ocon, 74. 74 for Ocon. Bottas, 74 as well. And Albon is 42, which just leaves Norris and K-Mag. K-Mag's 65. And where Norris is on 90. Okay then. So if I was to swap Ocon for Norris, where does that leave me price wise? So 3.4 million plus what I'd get back from Ocon, which is 12.6, would give me 16, I think, dead on, which means I would be able to afford Norris, and then but I wouldn't be able to afford Bottas. Though, that's the only trouble. Because for Magnussen I'd only get 6 million back, and then I wouldn't have any remaining. I'd have 100,000 remaining. So I think it's a no for Norris then, possibly. Unless I kept Kevin Magnussen and just swapped Ocon for Norris. Because to be fair, Magnussen does have 65 in total. How's his scoring been? So 27, 14, 6, 18. Where's Bottas? -2, 20. Yeah, Bottas is... I think Bottas is a better shoe-in, to be honest. Decisions. Okay, so that would be one option. If not, 3.4 plus the 6 million I'll get for Magnussen would give me 9.4 minus the... Oh, right, so that would be a straight swap. So I've got a decision to make here. If I've worked this out correctly, it's either Ocon for Norris or Magnussen for Bottas. Damn. Alright, I know what I'm going to do. Since it is Miami and they're going to be in America, and since Haas is the American team, I'm going to keep faith with Magnussen, and I am going to try and bring back Norris for Ocon. So goodbye Ocon, and it's going to be a straight swap for Lando Norris. I was thinking of trying to make 2 changes, but unfortunately that is not going to happen. So yeah, that will be my team for Miami, guys. Alright, so now that's out the way, let's go and have a look at the leaderboards. So we'll work our way up this time. So in the DM McLaren F1F Open, so this is an open league, please feel free to join. It's myself at the top, just ahead of Yo Pierre, who I think, to be fair, has been leading this championship up to this point. Then we go to the McLaren Official League. I think I have dropped places this week, which would make sense because my team didn't do very well this week. So in the McLaren League, top is Nusco by Anna V on 1,015 points. As for myself, I'm 75,600th. In the United Kingdom League, we have Team 1 by Harry C, 1,018 points. As for myself, 81,000th. And in the big one, the Global League, for that prize of 2 paddock passes next season, the current leader is Deschamps GP by Manuel D with 1,038 points. As for myself, all the way down in 397,000th. So I've definitely dropped. I'm sure I've dropped. And as for my little private league with my colleagues, they are beating me. I know that because I've already had a look. It's close, but yeah, they're ahead of me. So yeah, so that's that, guys. So like I said, all the links for Fantasy Tracker will be in the description below. Again, not sponsoring anything, just I find it very useful. I use it in my videos. I hope you'll find it helpful. I wouldn't say there's an advantage or a disadvantage because, again, remember, points per million is based on their value. So if they're performing well, it'll be high. If they're performing terrible, it'll be low against their value. So again, Leclerc 2.24 ppm because he's performing against his value, whereas the Mercedes, who are struggling, you can see they're a low ppm against their value. I hope that makes sense. All the information is in the links down below. And so sorry there won't be a video next week, but I need to finish packing and just get to my new place, get set up in time to watch the Miami Grand Prix and then to do my Spanish Grand Prix fantasy team. That's it from me, guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Good luck and all the best, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.